in part B, they'll first have this text to read, and this text will help them to discuss about poverty of Hong Kong. And why do I choose this text? Because it's a persuasion text, slightly different from the text they read previously. The text they read previously is simpler in terms of sentence structures, and the author used some simple short sentences. However, here the text is in this task. The text is written by a professor in Nanyang University, and the sentence structures are more complicated. And the words that he used expressed his attitude, which will be very useful for students in writing a persuasive text in the future. And during reading this text, they may learn the language features. So the reading parts here can actually allow them to have some encounters with vocabulary that is related to social issues. Here, in this case, the people with disabilities in Hong Kong. And this task actually helped to integrate tasks 1 to 4 together, because the text is about disabilities, and the other texts in my other group members' tasks are related to the homeless, the elderly, and the minimum wage earners. And so with all the information from all the group mates, they will be conducting a discussion, which which requires the extraction of information from tasks 1 to 4. And so the extraction of information will help them to discuss how to deliver information about the poverty of Hong Kong. And the group mates will present information orally to visitors, and they will discuss how to make the oral presentation interactive and appealing. And what kind of skills that are also important. For example, they will have some appreciation. They have some critical thinking skills during the process, and their attitude is to appreciate the logic and organization skills of the writers. For example, how the writer organizes ideas and make realistic arrangement in setting up the booth. Here, they will use some skills like reading information from the text, and not just this text, but also text from previous tasks, which can also help the discussion here. Because the discussion here is about proposing some solutions and about the poverty of Hong Kong. And so the information from previous tasks will also help as well. And the most important part of this activity is actually speaking. And they will need to speak with their critical mind, so as to talk about the poverty of Hong Kong and the solution to the poverty of Hong Kong. They also will be able to communicate with their group mates and come up with an agreement on what to be included during the oral presentation. And also they will be able to extract relevant information from tasks 1 to 4. And let's take a look at the text I've chosen here. The text is actually a very typical persuasion text with some common language features like a noun clause here. The fact that blah 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 is serious, so it's a noun clause, and this kind of feature is very typical, and also the writer used some very descriptive adjectives to describe data. For example, scathing 0.37, and also some descriptive adjectives here: ever rising, sky high, and the writer was very successful in quoting some reports which supports his statements. And in part C, the students will be given instructions on how to design a good cue card. And then they will follow the instructions and write some ideas on the cue card to speak on how to help the disabled, the homeless, the minimum wage earners, and the elderly, using the text provided in tasks 1 to 4. And so the students will analyze with their classmates all the information and select information that they consider significant for our presentation. And during the selection, they will discuss the rationale for the significance of information and how the oral presentation is organized to appeal to visitors. And the form of assessment here actually involves both teachers and students, with comments provided for students and marked contribution for the final grade. And so they will be given instructions here. So during the process, they will need to obey the instructions, and they will need to follow them strictly and they need to write down things on the cue card for a good oral presentation, and they will need to put down some introduction, situation, solution, and conclusion in the cue card. And they can actually learn how to write a good cue card, and they will need to think of some ideas that are relevant here, and the extraction of information, and how to summarize information, how to analyze information, and how to prepare, how to speak in a good way that can appeal to the audience. In part D, students will set up a booth with other members of the club and present the visitors. And so this is a combination of oral presentation and the design of the booth being assessed. So they will have two assessment forms. The assessment forms will be given to the visitors. For example, the visitors will grade them on their clarity of speaking, the clarity of language, body language, and the pace of speaking. And also, there will be a booth evaluation form which comments on the design of the booth. For example, on the space and location and the organization of the booth, and also whether the speakers are engaging and interesting, and also about the decorations of the booth. So in this task, it actually involves the students thinking of ways to appeal to visitors in terms of design and oral presentation. This is the end of the task description, and I hope that this design from our group will be useful to teachers. Thank you.